Once upon a DreamMare.
Mom said, go get Carlotta. So Clarabelle and we are on our way. When I arrived at Carlotta's friend's house, Carlotta told me that she would take Clarabelle out back and that I could go in and Lisa would give me a tour of the house. It was a beautiful house and Lisa showed me in all of the rooms. Carlotta came inside and said,
Okay, why don't you go get Clarabelle and I'll gather up my things.
I went out back to find Clarabelle and I found her tied up to a log over top of a giant ravine. How am I going to get you down from there, Clarabelle? Careful, Clarabelle. Clarabelle looked scared. But then suddenly a squirrel landed in front of her on the log, and she jumped up. With all her courage, she chased that squirrel right off of the log. Had that squirrel not come, I don't know how she would have made it. I took her back to the car, and I looked at my sister and I said, why did you do that? Why would you put her in such a dangerous place? She didn't answer me though. She just turned to her friends and laughed. It was a few days later, and my mom had told me that my turtles died and I needed to go and bury them. My sister and I were leaving for summer camp in one day, so I thought, what a great place to bury them on an island, and I packed them into my bag. The next day, we loaded up on the plane to fly us over to the island. We were one of the first groups to arrive. We were at the front of the line. Suddenly, I noticed my bag was not in my hands, and I said to my sister, I think I left my bag on the plane. I have to go get it. Carlotta looked at me and said,
You better hurry up. The plane's going to be leaving soon. You'll never make it.
I turned and started running as fast as I could. And then I felt a heaviness on my back, and I realized my bag was on my back the whole time. I turned and headed back to the line, and now it was a very long line. Instead of skipping in front of everybody to find my sister, I just got in line behind them. When I made it to our dorm room, I found my sister. I asked her why she didn't tell me that my bag was on my back. She did not answer my question. Instead, she said,
We saved you a sleeping spot. I'll take you to it.
We walked out of her room and down the hall to a dark and dusty room. It had my sleeping bag inside. I told Carlotta that this was a scary room. She shook her finger at me and said,
I don't want to hang out with someone so negative.
I asked her why she didn't save me a spot next to her. She just walked away. I decided it was a good time to go and bury my turtles. I did not notice there was a girl standing right behind me until she said,
What do you have?
I was startled that she was there and I accidentally dropped a turtle.
Oh no! Let me help you.
She told me as she bent down to help me pick up the pieces. I told her why I had brought them, that I wanted to give them a burial here on the island. She said,
My name is Deandra. Can I help you bury them?
I told her my name was Dakota and that, yeah, she could help me bury them. I handed her one of the turtles. I told her, they kind of stink though. Deandra said,
It's okay, but we probably should hide them from Miss Muffin.
She was right. Miss Muffin was the camp counselor and she seemed to yell a lot. Deandra stayed in the room and held on to the turtles while I went into the kitchen to see if there was something that we could hide them with. I found 2 donuts that looked to be about the same size as the turtles. Miss Muffin yelled at me for taking 2. I met Deandra outside and I handed her a donut. And she handed me one of the turtles. She said,
Dakota, where do you think we should bury them?
And just then, we heard Miss Muffin screaming in the background for everybody to come inside. The scream startled Deandra and she accidentally flung the donut and the turtle into the fire pit. I said, well, I guess cremating them is a good idea, and I threw mine into the fire pit too. Deandra and I said a prayer for the turtles, and then we turned to go inside. Miss Muffin looked at us and said,
Why would you throw those donuts into the fire pit?
Deandra quickly replied,
They were stale, and it hurt my stomach after one bite.
I whispered into Deandra's ear that Miss Muffin made those donuts, and we took off running. Deandra and I stuck together for the rest of camp, and when the week was over, we got on the same plane to go back to the mainland. Once we got to the mainland, I told Deandra that I would give her a ride to the train station. And as we were pulling away to leave, I suddenly heard Carlotta yelling,
Where are you going? You can't leave me here.
but I kept on going. Deandra and I hugged goodbye at the train station. When I got home, my mom said,
Dakota, why did you leave without your sister?
I didn't answer her. Instead, I went and found Clarabelle.